Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. So, welcome to the first battle in the End Times scenarios. This comes from the End Times Nagash. This is scenario 1, then is the 12th Battle of La Mosentel. Apparently, over the long years in the Warhammer world, there have been 11 battles at this abbey because the abbey holds a number of holy relics. Well, with Archon the Black trying to raise Nagash, he realizes that he needs one of those relics desperately. So he comes plowing through a civil war torn Bretonnia with his army of undead to attack this legion and see if he can get that artifact back. So this is me playing Bretonnia versus Ben of Bull City Wargaming playing Vampire Counts. And I should say going into this that he has been scrambling to paint his Vampire Counts over the last few weeks and has them 95% done, and they look pretty cool. And I appreciate his effort to do that so that he has a nice painted army as we go through this. So, the scenario, Krell is leading the undead. Technically, it's a vampire counts host, not an undead legions. They're trying to secure the Alakanesh artifact so they can raise Nagash. Leading Bretonnia is supposed to be Lord Theodric, who has been sent there to redeem himself from a long history of debauchery. I really kind of resonate with that character. Here are the special rules. Number 1, any Vampire Counts lore has -1 to its casting value, so they're slightly easier to cast. This is because Archon the Black and somebody else is supposed to be, I'm going to say Kemmler, are kind of helping with the battle from afar. Undeath Ascendant means that whenever Vampire Counts crumble, they crumble at -1. The Abbey acts as a haunted mansion, so you don't want anything near it. And the grounds between the abbey and the fence are charnel pits, so you're -1 leadership. And then there's the dark enchantments rule. This rule was so frustrating. So basically, at the beginning of every Vampire Count's turn, we roll a die. And you have to read the rules for all the specifics. But basically, the Vampire Counts get +4 to their die roll. And the Bretonnians can get some bonuses to their roll, but you have to get your 3 spellcasters together. And so I'll talk about having 3 spellcasters in just a second. So if the Vampire Counts win that roll off, then every unit on the board raises d6 wounds, which isn't a big deal if it's a unit of 20 skeletons, maybe. It's a huge deal if somebody has, I don't know, a Terrorgeist. So that was somewhat frustrating. But here's the kicker. If the Bretonnians win, then it's even worse. So basically, the Vampire Counts player can put a small template over anywhere they want on the board, and any spellcaster underneath it takes d3 wounds, no saves. So, yeah. And the way that you get bonuses to your Bretonnian roll is by having your spellcasters close together. So, yeah. So basically, the Vampire Counts get free healing every turn for every single unit. So the Bretonnians have to take 3 spellcasters. They're called the Three Sisters in this scenario. But as long as one of them is alive, all my units are stubborn. So everything I'm complaining about, the Dark Enchantments rule, gets overridden by the fact that all my units are stubborn, which is very, very helpful. Now, of course, my leadership isn't great with peasants, so I need to make sure there are knights around. Bretonnia has to deploy completely first, and then they still have to go second. And because we can't deploy within 12 inches of our center line, and the Vampire Counts can deploy anywhere they want 12 inches from you, that means there's really not a whole lot of movement. I deploy, my opponent gets to deploy, and then gets to go first 12 inches away. It's kind of rough. Vampire Counts, Krell has to be the general. So, this is what it looks like. I thought it was very cinematic, this abbey at the back. Those walls look like they're kind of far away, but they all are exactly 12 inches away from the center line. If I had to do it again, I'd put the far side of the walls 12 inches away to give me a little more room. But nevertheless, I was fairly restricted in terms of where I could deploy. It's kind of an odd area. So I did that. So so this is the main bulwark of the army. I've got almost 50 men at arms. They have the prayer icon. They're going to be stubborn. They're going to be reroll right behind them because of the BSB. But the bottom line is, if these guys break, it's going to be tough to keep Krell out of that abbey. So that's what the vampire counts have to do. They have to, well, they don't have to get through this line, but the object of the scenario is for Krell to get inside that building, and he has 8 turns to do it. If he can't do it, then you just go by who killed more stuff, which I thought was somewhat unfair because it's not easy to keep them out of that building, but whatever. So starting on the far left, he has 2 Terrorgeists. He apologized for bringing 2 Terrorgeists, but he said he needed to paint some big models to get enough points on the table. There's only so many skeletons you can paint in 3 weeks, and I don't fault him for that. Then he has a Vampire Lord on a Zombie Dragon. And I think when he deployed, he was assuming this guy was his general, and I reminded him later that Krell has to be the general. But this guy is, he's no joke. I mean, he just kills a lot of stuff. So 2 Terrorgeists and a Vampire Lord on a Zombie Dragon. You can see a smallish unit of Skeleton Warriors, then another smallish unit of Skeleton Warriors, and then a large unit of Skeleton Warriors with all of his stuff in front. Sorry about the blurry picture. On the front left, he's got a Tomb Banshee. So without magic weapons, it can't hurt her. Then I've got the Krell, Lord of Undeath, there in the middle. He's got some special rules, but basically, when I read him, I thought, I just don't want him in a challenge with one of my characters, because he's good at doing multiple wounds. And if he wounds you, then for the rest of the game, you take wounds and stuff like that. I do think he has to issue and accept challenges. And then he's got a Strigoi Ghoul King, who has the Red Fury, so this thing is just kills stuff. And on the far right, he left his 2 units of dogs at home. I know he has them at least for Warriors of Chaos he probably could have used, but he did have some what I think are Wild Riders from his Wood Elf army, so they are playing dogs. On the far right, now again, I had to deploy first, and he could have gone anywhere 12 inches from me, so I had to assume he could have gone in my flank and then moved before I went to go. So I had to make sure he couldn't get around my flank. So I have just a small unit of... oh wait, another thing I should say. Sorry about this. Anything like these monsters and monstrous cav, anything like that, had to deploy on the flanks. They couldn't deploy in the middle. That's why he had a Zombie Dragon and 2 Terrorgeists way off to the side. That wasn't him being silly. That was part of the rules. So I had my Peg Knights positioned to the right further so that he couldn't deploy too close to me, and then of course I vanguarded. Anyway, so I've got 5 knights there, and I've got one of my damsels. Then I've got Duke Theodoric. Put him on a Royal Pegasus because I wanted 2 Pegasus Knight units, because I just don't have enough room to maneuver for knight units, and there's only so much you can do with peasants. So, but he's got Heartwood Lance, Virtue of Heroism. I love that combo. He's just going to fly to the left and then see if he can get a charge off on the Terrorgeists. You can see Peg Knights in front of them. I've got some archers to the left of them. I have 20-man unit of men-at-arms. Obviously, there's a trebuchet. There's what I've talked about in front. And then on my left, another trebuchet, another small unit of men-at-arms, another unit of archers. My 1 unit of Knights of the Realm, they've got my prophetess. She has a silver mirror. I totally forgot about it. And then there's another unit of Peg Knights. So Vampire Counts turn 1. He charges dogs into archers on the top right. I do a stand and shoot, kill 2 of them, which I thought was pretty lucky. He makes the charge. I have a fence in front of me, of course, so he'll be -1 to hit, and I'm actually pretty confident about winning that. He tried to charge with the 2nd unit of dogs, and they failed, and that was nice. Otherwise, he's trying to shift what was on his right flank, my left flank. He's trying to shift it more towards the middle. So his Zombie Dragon flies over. His Terrorgeists cannot fly, so they move over 10 inches, and it looks like that. So one of them I'm confident I can hit with a lance and pop it through combat res if nothing else. But yeah, other than that, I just don't really know what... I don't know how to stop him from coming in. Yeah, looks another picture. And he cast some kind of magic missile or something. It didn't scare me, and it wounded a Peg Knight. The Terrorgeists scream at archers. I couldn't care less. So one unit of archers is down. That was fine. These archers made the dogs pop, so that was actually really nice. I was thinking about them charging the dogs that were remaining, but I was only going to do it if they could charge their flank. And it was kind of weird. I didn't want to push it. So basically, my Peg Knights are just going to charge that second unit of dogs, and I'm happy enough to do that. So, Bretonnians turn 1. Peg Knights charge dogs on the upper right. Knights of the Realm charge Terrorgeist on the upper left. And I am happy enough about that. I move up. I join my BSB with a unit of men-at-arms on the left, just so he can't be targeted too easily by stuff. I fly my general over. So I fly my general over, and then I position my men-at-arms unit on the right so that if he charges my main block, they can countercharge. So there's that charge. And here's a charge on the left. My only concern here is being flank charged by the Terrorgeist, but in truth, I'm not really worried about that. I think I'm going to win just from static combat res. Those guys just don't seem to be that great in combat to me, especially against knights. And after combat, yeah, the dogs are dead. And the Terrorgeist is dead. I didn't want to stay. I could have stayed where I was and reformed, but I just didn't want him charging my unit with the unit of skeletons. So I overran, and I'm hoping that everything else I have can just tie things up. One thing I did, during my shooting phase, I landed a rock on that Terrorgeist, the one you see still there. It hit it, it wounded, it got past the 6+ regen, and then it only did 2 wounds. And that's going to be the story of the game. If I can't kill it outright on my turn, then on his turn it gains d6 wounds back. And that is somewhat frustrating. So Vampire Count's turn 2. This actually surprised me. For some reason, I didn't think he could make all these charge. It just didn't occur to me. His Terrorgeist seemed pretty far away, but once you measured it, it wasn't. I think he needed a 9. His main block of Skeleton Warriors with his 3 characters seemed pretty far away. They needed a 9. So really, it wasn't all that unfortunate that he made those charges. So triple charging my men-at-arms unit is rough, because it's going to be tough for them to survive. Had I thought about it, I don't know why. I was going to say, I don't know why I didn't pull my damsel out, but she has the Transformation of Kadan spell, so I think she's there, so that if I need to, I can pop her out. Excuse me 1 second. So he's got 4 characters, one of whom is on a zombie dragon, and a Terrorgeist. He's got 2 monsters doing thunder stomps. He's going to really wreck this unit. I do have a 5-up ward save against all these high strength attacks. Krell has to issue a challenge. I get to refuse and send my damsel back, because you can't send champions back, and I don't lose the ward save because there's no knight champion or character who could have accepted the challenge. So I do like that. So I can send her back this turn, keep her safe. Next turn, bring her up and try to end 6 dice Transformation of Kadan. And if I do that, that'll really help out. So I've got a plan. It looks like that. And after combat, it looks like that. I'm going to go up 1 again. So you can see I have 49 bodies there. Now I'm down to 27. So he does a fair number of wounds. Probably more than I expected. But, I mean, whatever. At the end of it, I stuck. Everybody's stubborn. Because my first concern was, oh no, I'm not going to be steadfast, and that doesn't matter. So the damsel went back to the back rank, and now she came up again. And we go to Bretonnian turn 2, and we have the charge. The charge is, oh my gosh, look at all that. There's a better picture. Yeah, so I take my Heroic Killing Blow Lord into the Terrorgeist. Now, if you look at him, he has 2 wounds on him, because my opponent, being new to Vampire Counts, thought that he could scream out of combat. The Banshee and the Terrorgeist screamed at my general and only did 2 wounds total. Insanely lucky on my part. But at the end of it, it's not really going to affect anything. So, general has 2 wounds on him, but so what? I'm just hoping he can kill that Terrorgeist. BSB with the men-at-arms charge the flank of the Terrorgeist. Because if my general doesn't do it, I want to add as much static combat res as possible. And if my general does a few wounds to it, I'm hoping they can get lucky and maybe pop off the last few. On the right-hand side, I've got men-at-arms and Peg Knights going into that unit. It's going to be tough. I don't know if I can win or not because again, he can do so many wounds. His Terrorgeist on the left, well, it's only Terrorgeist. If he's still alive, he can attack men-at-arms that don't have a ward save, so that's helpful. The Vampire Count in the middle, with all his attacks and Thunderstomp and all that, well, he also has the other Trickster's Shards, so I have a 5 ward save on my men-at-arms unit, but they have to re-roll it, of course. So there's just another angle. Plus, I thought you might like to see a blurry picture. And there's another angle. Oh, what a combat. And there's still room for her to turn into a monster. And I can't get off the monster spell because I think my opponent scrolled it. I think I 6 dice did. I didn't get Irresistible Force, and he scrolled it. My general can't kill the Terrorgeist. He does 2 or 3 wounds to it. I think between my BSB and the Men-at-Arms on the left, they do another wound. I think he's sitting on 2 wounds remaining. But he doesn't die. On Vampire Count's turn 3, he's going to gain D6 wounds. Damn it. Yeah, you can see that my unit in the middle is really just getting worn down. And for some reason, I don't know why not, he didn't kill my damsel. I'm assuming he just fluffed his attacks. I'm assuming that hell, I don't know. Anywho, Krell, by the way, was in a challenge with my champion, and the champion is still alive. Krell just whiffed his attacks. I'm like, oh my gosh, if a Men-at-Arms champion can kill Krell, that will make my Warhammer year. But yeah, of course, he can't do a wound to him. Anyway, when all's said and done, I don't remember who won or lost. It looks like I lost, but everybody's stubborn, everybody sticks. Vampire Count's turn 3. Not a whole lot of movement going on. He does move his skeletons in the top left in front of my knight unit, so that there's really nothing I can do except charge him. And otherwise, he just regrows wounds. The Terrorgeist is back up to full wounds. Ugh. During the shooting phase, now he does legally scream at my general, and he kills him. But remember, by the time we go, even though I've done 2 wounds from a trebuchet and at least 3 wounds in combat, this thing is back up to full wounds. So he's, 2d6 plus 6. It's tough to survive that. So the general dies. And I don't know how he killed her. I don't know if the Tomb Banshee can, if I'm out of her front arc, if she can still target me. I don't know, and it doesn't matter, because at the end of it, he just kills everything in that front unit. But all my units are stubborn, so and it's just within 12 inches of the BSB to the Men-at-Arms on the right, and I think even to the Peg Knights. So my units are getting depleted, which is not good, but I'm holding them up. Can we hold them up for 8 turns? Bretonnian's turn 3. So the Peg Knights that started at the bottom left are now making their presence felt. They charge his general's unit, the main skeleton unit, and they're in his flank, and so they go all the way around back and just kind of clip them. And clipping them works just fine for me. I'm not going to kill all those skeletons, especially with his ability to raise them back up. I just need to hold them in place, because as long as he's in combat, Krell can't walk inside that abbey. It's only turn 3. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this for 8 rounds. I don't know if I have enough bodies on the table. And after combat, I don't know what happened here. Oh my gosh, we wrecked that unit. The Peg Knights on the left, they weren't really touching that much. There's only so much I could have done, but the ones on the right just did a ton of wounds. Of course, we won, and so it popped the Terrorgeist. The Vampire Lord on the Zombie Dragon is now actually out of combat, and the other unit is just stuck in there with the unit of Men-at-Arms. So I'm low on bodies in the Men-at-Arms, but I don't think he can kill them in his next round of combat, which is very good for me. His Strigoi Ghoul King, who's just wrecking face everywhere, he's taken a wound, which is nice. His Krell on let's see, his last turn, I think obviously finally killed my champion, and so then now he's in a challenge with the champion of this Men-at-Arms unit, and I think he didn't kill him. Krell could wreck face on characters, but he can't kill Men-at-Arms champions. And yeah, so I didn't have anything else to do with these knights, so they charged unit of skeletons and did some wounds, not enough. And now with his automatic regrowth, I don't think they're ever going to budge. I can't do enough wounds to wear him down if he gets a free D6 models back on every one of my opponent's turns. Vampire counts turn 4. Yeah, his general's unit tried to reform to face my men-at-arms. They couldn't do it on his turn. Yeah, like I said, the vampire and the zombie dragon is out of combat. They were out of combat last time. I shot a rock on his head and it just scattered off. I think it actually hit my unit and helped kill the men-at-arms that were with the BSB. Anywho, yeah, looks like that. And he regrew skeletons of these guys. And after combat, yeah, he this is another mistake my opponent made that was to his detriment. He won combat easily. I had some men-at-arms left. They were stubborn 8 rerollable. They failed it, and my opponent thought that one of his characters was frenzied, and so he had to pursue. And it turns out he wasn't, and we didn't realize that until my opponent's next turn, which kind of changes things because he probably would have preferred just to reform and face the Abbey. But again, this is his turn. If he had done that, I would have charged him on my turn anyway, and it wasn't an auto win, but it certainly probably would have been helpful for him. The archers back there took a panic test, leadership 8 with the Peg Knights nearby, and they failed it. So I failed 3 leadership 8 tests in a row. I'm not sure it really matters though. And over here, yeah, I'm just going to keep showing you pictures of these knights tied up with his skeletons. I can tell you once through the game I actually lost combat over here. So Bretonnia turn 4. I didn't feel the need to charge his bunker unit because I was just going to get countercharged by that zombie dragon, and he's facing the wrong way, and I have time. So I just kind of spread out around a zombie dragon. I want, even though the zombie dragon doesn't necessarily win the game, it really makes my life more difficult trying to hold up his main unit. So I want to drop a rock on its head. So there's that. And I drop a rock on his head and actually get past his ward save and then only roll a single wound. That really bummed me. And the zombie dragon, I wounded it and only did 3 wounds. Damn it. Because it doesn't do anything. Doing 3 wounds does nothing. He gets D6 wounds back on this unit for free on his turn. And yeah, these guys are punching each other. So Vampire counts turn 5. He takes his main unit and turns him around to face the Abbey. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the zombie dragon. I don't know if he could. Yeah, I don't think he could charge anything that was worth charging. No, I think he charged my Knights Errant and he failed his charge. I'm just going to say that's what happened. So there are these guys. Oh, look, they grew some skeletons back for free. Krell's taken a wound from somehow, some way, and the Strigoi Ghoul King has a wound. And over here, we're still punching at each other. Bretonnian's turn 5. I just need to hold the unit up. I charge both flanks with men-at-arms and with Peg Knights. Not men-at-arms, I'm sorry. Knights Errant and Peg Knights. I keep my other unit in reserve. I don't really like the idea of just charging his front. And the way it works, let's see if there's a close-up. Yeah. So the lance that's second in from the right is my champion. So basically, Krell has to issue challenges. It's my turn, so I issue a challenge with that champion. Krell has to accept. He's got a Strigoi Ghoul King there, and basically it works out to where the Strigoi Ghoul King can't do very much, and I forget why. Bear with me, that might be next turn. Anyway, these guys are just kicking at each other. And we go there. So basically, I think he only did 1 wound. Hell, I don't know what happened. I'm confused. Anywho, doesn't matter. Basically, my champion and Krell, I think, are in a challenge. And now, because that one knight died to the left of my champion, now the Strigoi Ghoul King can't attack anybody because he's only touching the champion, and he can't reform because he is engaged in both flanks. And that unit has come down a lot, but he's going to get free regrowth here in just a second. More importantly, the vampire on the zombie dragon, who's back up to full health, is going to rear charge the Peg Knights. So vampire counts turn 6. Yeah, the zombie dragon coming in is not going to help things. And after combat, he actually fluffed his attacks with that zombie dragon. He won combat, and the Peg Knights, who I didn't have a BSB close enough, they were stubborn on an 8. They failed it. They did not get run down. But yeah, he only did like 2 wounds, maybe. Anyway, and then over here, he won. I stuck with the Knights Errant, and he reformed. So he's going to make short work of the Knights Errant, but he's still held up. It's turn 6. And look at that. He grows more skeletons. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Ugh. Bretonnian turn 6. The Peg Knights that I held in reserve charged the flank of his general's unit. My Peg Knights rally, which was very helpful. I brought my BSB around because I thought it would be helpful. I'm going to shoot a rock at that zombie dragon. Of course, at this point, it being turn 6, it's less important. So it looks like that. And I think I charged my bowmen in there too. They're just going to add combat res, but it just doesn't matter. If I lose, I'm stubborn no matter what. So I aim a rock. I hit him again. And I think this time the Vampire Lord makes his ward save, but the zombie dragon gets killed. So that was very, very nice. Thank you. And over here, yeah, just do a ton of wounds. Look at my archers. Not a whole lot of wounds there. Kind of surprising. And we hold them up, so that's great. So Vampire counts turn 6 as Vampire Lord charges my Peg Knights. Doesn't really matter. Otherwise, we're just going to fight. And look, he grew more skeletons. And I issue a challenge with my champion. He kills the champion, and I lose combat, and I'm stubborn and stick. Bretonnian turn... Hold on a second. I'm going to go back up. There we go. Bretonnian turn 7. Yeah, so he basically just starts killing everything here. But my Peg Knights are still there, holding the fort. We go to Vampire Counts turn 8, and at the end of combat, he kills both units of Peg Knights. If you look in the top left, the Knights are still in combat with the skeletons, but it's end of game. He can't do anything at this point. He can't get Krell to the Abbey. So we don't even play Bretonnian turn 6. Had we done it, I just would have aimed a rock at that Vampire Lord's head just to see if I can get him. And the game ends there. That was actually a lot of fun. So I kept him out of the Abbey for 8 turns. And man, being stubborn was absolutely huge. Oh my gosh. I mean, I was complaining the whole time about him being able to get that free D6 wounds back every turn, but I don't know which was worse because he had to have been frustrated at every unit being stubborn. Of course, the scenario says that if Krell doesn't make it to the Abbey, then you just revert to who killed more stuff. Well, he killed a ton more stuff. I mean, I guess I have 3 characters and my knight unit left. And he has all 4 of his characters, and he still has points for his big... I mean, whatever. I think he won by points, but I don't know. I don't know if it ever occurred to me that I might be able to win by killing more stuff than him. I mean, he just had some serious killing power, and I don't know if I could have made units of knights work in this. Like I said, I mean, it's so cramped, and anything flying for him was in my flanks. He could have charged me turn 1 with anything he had. I didn't even know what he had when I was deploying, really. So anyway, that's it for the 12th battle of the Abbey. So technically, victory goes to the Vampire Counts. I counted a moral victory for the Bretonnians, but it was fun having a different kind of scenario, and I felt it proved to be kind of a cinematic game with all those blocks just locked in combat. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has several functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like the video, you can leave a comment, you can favorite the video. I want you to know that I appreciate it when you do things like that. It feels much more interactive than simply me talking to a screen. So if you're willing to do so, please like, comment, and favorite the videos. Subscribe to the channel if you want, and you certainly are welcome to share this video on your blog or other websites if you are so inclined. Again, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.